Hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me to finish up the week. Alright, I've been getting a lot of questions, or I do, I don't get a lot of questions, but from time to time I get questions on living in Costa Rica, specific questions here and there, just about how it is, I guess, as a foreigner living down there. So I had a few, and I tell you, if anybody's watching this, if you sent me an email, I've seen a couple out there. That's why I'm doing this video. And there were a couple that actually I lost the email, or I lost the message. Like, I got too many places where messages come in. Sometimes messages come in through Facebook. Sometimes people write emails. Sometimes people make it in a comment on a video. And then sometimes there's a weird little place on Google where it's kind of a hidden message place. I always forget it. It's there until I stumble upon it. And sometimes there's a message. So I just thought it would be good to do, I guess I'm just going to do a general video. This isn't really, even though it says question and answer, it's not really a proper, like, taking one question and answering it, but I'm just going to try to take all the questions that I can think of asked about moving down there and that I have gotten, and I'll try to cover them the best that I can. Made a few notes on this just so that I will cover everything. So let me get out the trusty iPad. Moving to Costa Rica. Okay, just a couple of fun facts first before we really get started and I start telling you, some of the real stuff. First of all, if you're even entertaining the idea of moving down there, you got to know a little bit of geography. Costa Rica is not an island. Repeat, it is not an island. Island defined by having water on all sides. We actually have two countries on either side of us. We have Nicaragua to the north and we have Panama to the south. And we're located, most people might know this, might not. We're located in Central America, so not an island. That's one that I get. And I'm just trying to save you a little bit of embarrassment maybe when you come down. You got to know where you're going. The next one is just another little fun. I'm kind of poking at some people. Is pronunciation. It is Costa Rica. It's not Costa Rica. A lot of people I don't know why that grates on my ear. And some people actually have it kind of like they almost can't say it the right way. You even tell them and they just want to keep slipping back. Costa Rica, Costa Rica, Costa Rica. It's Costa Rica. Now this one is a little bit more, if you don't speak Spanish, you wouldn't necessarily know this. But also too, if you ever did come to the little town where I live, which is Playa Jaco. But if you know anything about Spanish, J's are pronounced like H's, so it's Playa Jaco, but it's spelled with a J, J-A-C-O. So, but that one's not that big a one. You'll pick that one up 2 days after in town, but just don't say Costa Rica, Costa Rica. All right, moving to Costa Rica. The cost of living, I get, and everything, let me preface, before I do this, let me say that this is just my version of it. I've lived down there for 16 years. Some people, depending on what part of the country, you might have a different experience living in different areas of Costa Rica. So I think I've got a pretty good handle on it, but it is from my lifestyle. I kind of fly under the radar. I'm not really set up down there. I'm not a real person. I don't do normal things. If you haven't figured that out, I don't do normal things like normal people. One thing that I get all the time is I think people are about 30 years in the past. They ask me all kind of questions. They think that Costa Rica is just crazy cheap place. Now, while it is and it isn't, there's different ways to live in Costa Rica. You can spend a lot of money down there. If you want to go down there and live like the typical American that's got to have everything like they had in North America, it can get quite expensive depending on. Now, most people watching me, who knows, maybe somebody stumbles across this video doesn't watch this for the health, food, vegan aspect of it. So that would be different if you don't eat like us, but it's definitely advantageous the way that we eat. But I'm jumping ahead of myself there. Let's go down the list. Kind of a cost of living type thing. Rent, once again, that can vary very greatly. Now I have a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. I guess you guys probably heard me talk about my house. 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. And I pay about $600 a month for that. Now I do have a nice big rancho, which is it's open on the sides, but has a covered area outside with a nice little sink. I actually use that as my outdoor kitchen. And I have a half bath and an outside shower out there. So basically you could almost say it is 2 bathrooms, but one of the bathrooms is outside. And this is in a nice little, I want to say middle class neighborhood, but there's some po folks living in there that, a lot of people staying in one house. But it's a nice little gated community that's like 70s America. The kids play outside all the time. It's very safe. It's a nice, wholesome neighborhood. It's families in there. And yeah, so I pay about $600 a month for living there. Now you can find a part, like if you got down, like if you were going to move to Costa Rica or stay for an extended period of time, I would say come down and get yourself just some little cheap place, and then find yourself a rental once you get down there, because once you meet people and wherever you are, whatever little town, wherever you get plugged in, you'll find where you need to go look for housing there. You don't want to hit on the stuff where the tourists are, because that's going to be high dollar. And sometimes it's just word of mouth. You're going to get the best deals by knowing people, but that just gives you a little bit of perspective there. Now there's houses, there's rentals up as high as $2,000 a month, and depending on your lifestyle, once again, that has to be factored in. Food. The fruits and vegetables, produce is definitely cheaper down there. I don't pay attention. I kind of have a big picture of like I can't sit down and itemize, even for myself. Like people say, well, how much is this? How much is this? I don't really pay attention all that much. I know, I can get about 10 bananas for $1, about 10 cents a piece for bananas. A mango's probably about 70-80 cents a big mango, maybe less. Like I said, I don't pay attention. I just know how much food I get at one time. So I kind of have an idea, but I don't have an idea. But I know, especially it's a good time to compare with me being in the States right now. God, every time I go in, just for the smallest bag of groceries, is $15-18. So fruits and vegetables, crazy cheap down there. And I think I'm in a very touristy area. I think some of the areas I'm going to be exploring when I get back to Costa Rica, you can hook up with farmers more. You can get even better prices on the fruits and on the vegetables. I don't get so much of the exotic stuff. I mean, I'm not complaining. I like what I get. I haven't been able to get jackfruit. I haven't been able to get mame sapote. That's the main reason I'm thinking about branching out and moving around, even at some point moving south of where I live, because I know a bunch of people, or I network with some people that are getting fruits and stuff that I don't. But bottom line, the fruit and vegetables are probably going to be a good bit cheaper. And there is organic available in Costa Rica. I'm not really eating very much organic right now because my little town doesn't have it. But that's something, now that my job is finished and I have more time on my hands, that's something I'm going to try to go in search of. If I even have to do something like once a week, go to San Jose and try to work with somebody to get some stuff brought down. But anyhow, that's organic. Visa and residency, how can you stay there? Listen, I'm what's called a perpetual tourist. Technically, I have a 90-day visa, and then I have to leave the country. There's questions about whether you really have to leave for 3 days, but when I used to, jump across the border to Nicaragua, I wanted to have a little mini vacation, so I would stay at least for 3 days. They're always tightening down on this. Immigration is one of those things where the rules can be kind of gray, and you never know exactly, what they're going to tell you at any given time. Sometimes they tell you they're going to stop letting people do that. Sometimes they tell you that one trip, if you're just doing a border run, you're going to have to mix it up. Like if you went to Nicaragua this time, you'll have to go to Panama the next time. What I'm getting at is if you don't have a way to get residency, you're going to have to leave every 3 months. It's tough to get residency, unless you're dropping a bunch of money in, you get involved with lawyers, which brings me to my next point. You better have the patience of Job if you're going to move down there, especially if you're going to try to live that proper life like people do here. I don't have a bank account in Costa Rica. I don't own anything in Costa Rica. I don't have residency in Costa Rica. I don't have to go and do anything with any official people. I keep my nose clean, I follow the law, but I don't own stuff. Once you get into having residency and stuff, having bank accounts, you have to have letters from the states that are that are notarized, and then if you have them for too long before you go get them submitted with papers, they'll be like, okay, well, no, this has to be done within the last 60 days. In other words, it is a red tape bureaucracy nightmare down there when you're trying to live a proper life, owning stuff, being a real person there, having residency, doing banking. It's just all this kind of nitpicky red tape. For somebody like me that's on the fly all the time, travels light, just lives like I live, it's easy for me down there. The people are very nice. The people are very friendly. I love Costa Ricans. They have problems like anywhere else. What else? Let's see. Banking, making an income. That's another one that people ask me a lot. I would not advise coming down there looking to find a job. They're pretty tight on their immigration. If you're not, and there's different types of residencies. You can get a residency like as a retired person, if you have verified income that comes in steady. You can get it if you put enough money into projects, certain building projects. But those type residencies don't allow you to work down there. It's really even harder to get papers down there to be able to work legally. And they take it pretty seriously. Now, just like anywhere, if you're in some of the beach town, like I live in the biggest beach town. I live in a beach town that has more infrastructure than most. It's actually a little town. I mean, it has every bank that's in Costa Rica is in our little town. We have 3 or 4 supermarkets. We have an infrastructure there. I mean, it's a real little town. Some of the others are just kind of little sleepy tourist villages, or just that are just tourism areas. And the farther you are from San Jose, immigration doesn't come around as much. But you might get, and especially if you're a cute chick, you might get hired at a bar. You might get hired at some sort of little job, but you're not going to make a lot of money. And you're going to be looking over your shoulder, because if immigration does happen to pop in where you're working, you can very well get thrown in, get locked up for a while, and get set up to be deported home. So, most people I know that are successful down there, they actually have some money, they have a head on their shoulders, and they come down and open a business. But the best is just to have something, the best way to live in this world today, if you don't have something already, maybe think in those directions, something you could do, something online. I know people that are consultants, they're web designers, but everything they do is on their computer. They can make a living from their computer, and it's basically, doesn't matter if they're in Tokyo, Costa Rica, South America, Indonesia, wherever. They basically work from their computer. They need internet connection. That's it. But I hate to be, sometimes people ask me, and I feel like I'm the buzzkill because I don't blow smoke up your ass or tell you all these fairy dreams. It's like, it's tough. It's really tough to come down there and make a living. Even if you do get somebody to hire you, you're not going to get paid very much at all. So I don't really recommend, looking at it that way. Rainy season, we're in the middle of we're about 2 months into our rainy season right now, where I am. Rainy seasons are different on different parts of the country, but what it generally means, except if the Caribbean gets a lot of rain a lot of the year. Most people, there's some nice places over there, Puerto Viejo, that is just totally almost like Jamaica. But, I'm on the Pacific. There's a lot of places. There's a lot, like I'd say the majority of people, North Americans, Europeans that come down to live probably live on the Pacific. Now, when it says rainy season, it's generally not a monsoon season. Some years, if it's, depending on it, you can just get bombarded. But most years, it's typical to what it is in areas in the States. You'll just have a nice sunny day, and then late afternoon, the thunderstorms will roll in. Surfing, my area, and like I say, I've been out of the water for so long, I'm going to try to get in. I've been saying I'm going to get back in forever. Surfing is really good in the area I live in. Basically, where I live, you can surf pretty much year-round. The waves aren't great sometimes, but, and there's different levels. Like, I live in a little town, Playa Jaco. It's a good place for beginners, but it's also fun for intermediate, and even some of it, when it's really good, the advanced surfers love it there. Next beach over is where the big boys surf, and it'll thump you. It's not a huge wave, but it's cranking. point being is in this particular area where I live, yeah, you can almost surf every day of the year. Because I know there are surfers out there that will, that'll want to know about that. Trying to think. Those are the notes that I had. Trying to think if there's anything I haven't covered. And I know it's not like really thorough. I just like to give kind of a, concise, quick overview of it, just to give you an idea. Like, if you're coming down, I just, sometimes I think people get annoyed with me when I kind of kill the buzz by telling them it's not as easy as they think, it's not as cheap. You're not going to come down and buy a little piece of property for $7,000. You're not going to get this dream job and do it. If you're going to come down, I would say come down with enough money to, when you come, to pay for your stay down there. But now there's different ways, and it's all about your mindset. It's not a bad place to come, and if you got something worked out, it's not a bad place to come and live. I've enjoyed living there for 16 years. Will I stay there forever? Probably not, but it will always have a piece of my heart. I'll probably always, and I've got some friends there, so I will probably always, visit there, spend part of the year there. That was always kind of my long-term or end game, was to have two places in the world, instead, so you didn't get, shake it up, so you didn't get bored. Maybe you have one that's your primary. Maybe you have one where you spend about 6 months out of the year, another place where you spend about 4 months out of the year, and then you just bounce for 2 months out of the year. But yeah, Costa Rica will always have a place for me, and I'm sure I'll always spend some major time out of the year there. So yeah, it's a great little spot. Oh, one other thing that I didn't talk about: Spanish, speaking Spanish. Now, unfortunately, especially us North Americans, we have a horrible reputation. We're too ignorant to learn a second language. Like in general, we just one of the countries in the world, we just don't value learning a language, and we're kind of slow with it. My Spanish for 16 years is definitely not what it should be. Now, I'm probably making excuses, but it's never been an issue for me. I've never needed it for work or a job. And when I got there, I was a lot more gung-ho about speaking more Spanish, but it's like, I surfed a good bit at the time, and anytime you're in the water talking to a kid trying to practice your Spanish or whatever, or talking to people, they all wanted to practice their English. And being in such a touristy area, almost every person in the town speaks English now. You can go in almost anywhere, on any restaurants you can go in and totally get by speaking no Spanish. But like anywhere, the people are going to accept you more. They're going to appreciate it more. You're going to fit in more the more you can speak. And basically, it's just a matter of looking like you're trying. You don't have to be the best speaker in the world. You can make a lot of mistakes, but trying goes a long way when it comes to speaking another language. And hey, I would even advise, like, sometimes maybe don't come to my area. Maybe even like if you're going to go to Costa Rica or another place, seek out a place, at least initially, where there's not much English being spoken, because when you get thrown in, you have to, or you communicate or you don't communicate, or you have to speak the language or you don't communicate at all. I remember when I lived in France 20-something years ago. I lived there. I was there for 6-8 months. They didn't like speaking English with us, so I was just constantly, I was learning a lot faster. I was having to use the French. Well, our brains were lazy. The brain will learn faster when it has to. Anyhow, I know I jumped around there, and it's kind of a short video, so I hope I covered pretty much, everything about moving down to Costa Rica. So you can leave, maybe I'll do another one at another time. If I've missed anything, you can leave some comments below, and I'll try to answer those for you. But anyhow, hope you guys like this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and have a great weekend. I'm going to have a lot of fun this weekend. I'm going back down to Pensacola one last time tomorrow. Just a quick little trip down to go to the salon, get a head massage, get all the little areas cleaned up here, and do a little bit of shopping. So anyhow, see you guys. Peace.